There was no place louder in college hoops today than Assembly Hall. It felt right, guys? Indiana, Purdue, top 25 showdown. The Hoosiers have played well in recent weeks. They've got the home slot. They've got the number one team in the country. And Indiana seizes the opportunity. They win this game. Trace Jackson Davis set the tone. Indiana found balanced scoring from the perimeter, and they win this game 79-74. Laval, your takeaway from a rivalry win for the Hoosiers over Purdue?
Yeah, one, it's hard to play in Bloomington. So that's the first win against number one since 2013. I was on the other bench in 2013 when we were number one at Michigan and went to Indiana and lost. And it's an environment for college basketball. It's the loudest game I've ever coached in, to be honest. It's 17,000 in there. I mean, they can't wait. I was curious if they were going to rush the court or not, because sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But when you knock off number one, and they played, look, what have they won? 6 out of the last 7. They've been playing really well. And Trace Jackson Davis, he's on another level right now. And I agree with you, John. He set the tone. And I thought Trey Galloway was important. Just his hustle, grit, his defense on the guards from Purdue, that was a big factor in the game. But, the environment, you got Dick Vitale, you got the environment, you got, Indiana basketball. So it was a good day for college. That rivalry, because Purdue had beat them 9 straight times until last year. And so, I'm sure they were tired of reading about the Boilermakers. We've been talking about the Boilermakers, ad nauseum, and they're really good. And you don't feel any different about Purdue. They're still really good. Zach Edey still went for 33 and 18. I mean,
a cool 33 and 18, Laval. 33 and 18 on 15 for 19 from the floor, man. Like,
it was unreal.
He's a beast. You know who really stood out to me? And I've kind of made this point before, but Jalen Hood-Schifino, when he plays well, I think that takes Indiana to a different level, because it opens a lot of things up. They have the ability now to put the ball in a playmaker's hands, put shooters around them, and kind of run these ball screens where they just kind of either get Hood-Schifino get into his right hand, and he loves that little midi pull-up, or you got Trace Jackson Davis like rolling to the basket. There's nobody better in college basketball than catching a lob or bringing a ball. Like, that dude's hands are so strong. Did you see the play today where he drove on Edey and tried to dunk on him, realized he wasn't going to dunk it, and then floated down and tried to lay it in over his head? Like, how you keep control of a ball like that? Just his hands are so strong.
When he gets to his right hand pull up, I mean, it's a big time shot. And the analytically you say, layups and threes, but I'm just telling you, guys I've coached and players, if you can take 1-2 dribbles and jump up and just shoot it in, I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. And he has that.
Yeah, and it's especially important against teams that are going to play drop coverage, and that's what Purdue does. That's what Zach Edey is going to do. I thought just a terrific performance from Indiana all around. Here's what I'm really interested in, and Laval, you probably can answer this better than Fanta or I can. Xavier Johnson's probably going to end up coming back at some point, right? That's kind of that's what it sounds like. You figured things out with this Indiana team. Jalen Hood-Schifino was playing the lead guard role and thriving in that role. Trace Jackson Davis has turned into an absolute monster playing. Zach Edey's going to be the player of the year. Trace Jackson Davis is playing at a player of the year level right now. When you bring Xavier Johnson back, he's kind of a ball dominant guy. He's a big personality. He's someone that's going to be expecting shots. How do you work that in? Like, it's going to be complicated and it's going to be difficult, and people are going to have to make sacrifices. But how have you ever dealt with something like that as a coach? And how do you process that? How do you get this guy back in so you don't fall off if you're Indiana?
I'm trying to think if we had a guy out that long. And I don't know, we brought Jordan Tucker in when we were at Butler at semester, which was, it's always a unique situation because everybody kind of finds it smooth air, right? Mm-hmm. And so he's going to have to accept maybe a different role on the way back in. He's one of their best defenders on the perimeter, so he has that already. But in terms of playmaking and scoring, with Hood Schifino rolling the way he's rolling. I thought Miller Kopp made, he kind of found his stroke today. And with playing through Trace, the way that they're playing through Trace now, he's going to have to get in where he fit in, but he'll have a role just because he's such a good defender. And that, but it takes a second, I think, for everybody to get used to playing with him again, or for him to fit in, find where he fits in with the group.